how to make money online without showing up all the time. I know that's something for a lot of people. They're like, okay, I'm willing, to do this content creation thing, but do I have to show up all the time? All right, the first thing you're gonna need if you eventually want to get to a place where you don't have to show up online all the time yet still make money. Hey, CourtneyLSanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time online life and business coach, as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things, which is why what today's topic might be a little weird to you, or might sound a little weird to you. And I say that because today I'm gonna be talking about how to make money online without showing up all the time, which is like the antithesis to what I do, right? I show up online all the time, right? But the reason I wanted to do this, and in fact, I have a previous video where I talked about this, my video around the truth versus reality for generating 100K months. But in that video, I talked a lot about this idea of building a company and kind of scaling beyond just being an individual coach or a freelancer, and really starting to build an organization that can support you. And so part of going from building a business to a company and building an organization is this idea that, the business can generate revenue without you necessarily having to show up all the time. And so I fully admit that I am definitely not 100% there. I mean, my business does take, a dive if I am not present, but I have noticed that there are aspects that I have been able to remove myself from the business, and it still continues to run because, again, I'm building more than a business. I'm building a company. I have a team, all these different things. And so I know that's something for a lot of people. They're like, okay, I'm willing, to do this content creation thing. I'm willing to show up, but do I have to show up all the time? Do I have to show up consistently? And so I have some thoughts, I have some answers. I've also worked with clients who are very successful in a kind of brick and mortar business or more traditional industries, and they're interested in getting into coaching and speaking, writing books, becoming a motivational speaker, that kind of thing. And they see what I do online. They're like, ooh, but you show up all the time. And, I'm busy in my other business. Is it possible to make money online without showing up all the time? So if you've had those thoughts and you've wondered, you're in luck, because we're gonna talk about it right now. All right, so here's the catch. I'm gonna just put the catch up front, right? And then we'll talk about how this works. Understand that if you want to make money online without having to show up all the time, you are first gonna have to show up all the time, right? There is going to be a season. I can't say specifically how long it's gonna be for you. Year, 2 years, 3 years. I've been online since 2007. Blogging since 2009, coaching since 2014, 2015, full-time in my business since 2016, and we have not slowed down since, right? I've been producing almost daily videos on YouTube for like almost a year now, right? So I'm not saying you have to go hard in the paint the way I do, you have to go at the level that I do, but I will not shy away from the fact that I do show up consistently, and I have showed up consistently, and when I say consistently, I mean for years, and it's really paid off for me. That said, there are seasons when I am more busy in my business or building other things. I've spoken about in previous videos how I'm now scaling internationally. I have a team, part of them are based in South Africa. I hosted a retreat in South Africa. I'm looking to do it again. There's actual business on the ground in South Africa that I am going after with actual corporations. So there's things even beyond just my online business that I am starting to step into. And so at times, while in general I am always present and I'm online, there are days, there are weeks, even times when I physically, can't show up because, I'm in meetings or there's other things that I need to pay attention to. And thankfully, my business still runs, and we're able to still make sales, and we're able to still generate that revenue. And that is very encouraging for me, because that shows me that a lot of the investment that I've made in my team, in our systems, in my project manager, like all these different things, they are starting to pay off, right? Like the fail safes do kick in when, I'm not on Instagram every single day, right? Again, I recognize that I still need to be present in my business. We're not at a place where I can totally walk away, nor is that something that I want to do at this point, but I don't have to be here all the time in order to generate revenue. And there's lots of different things that we have in place in order to make that possible. So I'm gonna share some of these things with you, but I'm just giving you that caveat that if you wanna get to a place where you don't have to show up online all the time, understand that there is a season though where you are gonna have to show up online all the time. So, take it or leave it. All right, the first thing you're gonna need if you eventually want to get to a place where you don't have to show up online all the time yet still make money is you are gonna have to build up your brand and reputation. And so again, you don't have to be in this as long as I've been, but I have been in this a long time. I won't go over the timeline again, but from 2007, my first introduction into the internet to where I stand before you right now in 2023, Your girl has been building her brand for a very long time. I've been focused on being present. I've been focused on being visible. I have clients all over the world. I have people who haven't even purchased from me, but who have been following me for years. You know, I do have a brand, right? You know, people are familiar with my work. People are familiar with my content. There is a brand and a reputation that is present. And so I know that if at any time or for any season, when I have to step away or I'm not, you know, live all the time, I know that that carries me. And so this is something that I find that a lot of people don't focus on enough initially, in part because they're so focused on making the sales, not realize that if they focus on the brand, the sales will come. And not only will the sales come, but they'll continue to come even when you're not showing up. So if you had the choice between focusing on sales and focusing on brand, I would actually focus on brand, because the brand is going to carry you longer term. You might make less money in the short term, or rather it might take you longer to make money, but you will make money for longer, right? So if you want to make money online without showing up, your first step is to really build out your brand and your reputation. All right, the next step that you need to do, and this is in part with building your brand, is you really need to build your content library. So I have this whole concept, I talk about this binge and buy sequence, right? If you give people something to binge on, ultimately they will buy. Doesn't mean they'll buy tomorrow, doesn't mean they'll buy next week. I have people who have binged on my content for days, weeks, months, sometimes years, and then in their own time they raise their hand and they say, I'm ready to buy something from you, or I'm ready to join your coaching program, and that's totally fine and it suits me. But I understand that my content library, meaning I have a whole lot of content that people can go through, that does support me. So I've had people who binge on my YouTube videos. Before I was super active on YouTube, I had people who binged on my podcast. There are people who binge on my Instagram. I post on Instagram basically daily, especially Monday through Friday. They check, you know, the feed and they're like, oh, this looks interesting. This looks interesting. They're looking at my reels, they're looking at every post. There's lots of content for people to go through. So even if I am not showing up consistently, there's a lot of back content that people can review. And because I show up consistently, my team is able to repurpose a lot of my content. So if there's ever a season where I need to step away for a while, that's fine, because technically we can still put out new content in the sense of it's content that I've pre-recorded that hasn't even been released yet, that is still available to go out and to go on. So you definitely want to build up that content library. All right, the next thing you want to do if you want to make money without showing up online all the time is you also need to build out at least a signature offer, or B, your product suite. What I mean by this is there has to be something that people can purchase kind of on their own. I see a lot of solo freelance coaches, they're the product, they don't really have a package or a program, and so they have to keep showing up because essentially they're selling their time, you know, whether it's, are you buying coaching sessions with me, you know, hours, or even just one-on-one coaching, it's like, they're the product, right? But when you start to have a product suite, maybe there's self-paced coaching programs that people can go through, self-paced courses. Maybe you have support staff where you have a coaching program, but then you have other staff members who can facilitate the coaching. Once you build that up, you don't necessarily need to show up all the time. You can still make sales, especially in tandem with that content library and the brand and reputation, right? People know you, they see your content, and then they're getting into your offers. This, I find, having at least those three is very helpful, not so that you can step away from the business, but so that you can work on the business, right? There's a great book I highly recommend every entrepreneur read. It's called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And he talks about this concept of working in your business versus working on your business, and how a lot of entrepreneurs ultimately get burned out because they're constantly working in the business. They never have time to think higher and to strategize and to do more with their business because they're constantly doing the day-to-day work. And so I find that those first three that we talked about, building the brand, creating the content library, and then building out that product suite, even if you're not in a place where you can totally step away from the business, it allows you to step outside of it so that you can work on it and ultimately grow it. So, you know, building up that product suite is really monumental. All right, I have more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. Are you trying to make money online without showing up all the time? Share why or why not in the comments below. All right, the next thing that you'll need if you want to, create this kind of system where you can generate sales and you don't have to show up online all the time, is you do need to build up a base of testimonials, right? So I understand I have an advantage in the sense that I have been at this for a very long time. Even before I went full-time in my business, I had smaller programs and products products that I was creating. And so I have a whole library of testimonials. You should see my Google Drive. There's many testimonials that we have that I haven't even published or that are buried somewhere on my website in terms of people that have taken programs from me, that have worked with me one-on-one, that have been in courses, coaching programs, etc. And so that's kind of in part with building a brand and a reputation. Over time, again, if you focus on making your content really good and focus on helping people get results, you will get good testimonials just by virtue of, again, of doing really good work. And that really helps with the not having to show up online all the time, because essentially your past clients become salespeople for you, right? I have clients who've told their friends about me. There are people who have told like their spouses or their siblings about me who haven't necessarily invested with me, but they've binged on my content. They know that my framework is really good. And then they've ended up referring me to someone who ultimately became a paying client. So understand that the testimonials don't necessarily have to be testimonials for paid content. Even if people are giving good testimonials about you just from the free content, ultimately that can lead to sales from paid content, but those testimonials do have to be there. All right, and the next thing that you need to have in place if you want to make sales without having to show up online all the time is you need a strong back-end system and/or team. And so what I mean by that is, in a business, there are systems that run behind the scenes that aren't visible that help make things happen. I know for me in my online coaching business, especially with social media, we have all these Asana boards, that we run in terms of content that's coming out, products that we're releasing, email newsletter. There's like a whole maze behind the scenes that makes all these things tick and flow and happen, right? Even as I'm recording these videos, I batch record them all in one day. I do 20 videos in one day. I know that sounds insane. I do that once a month. We do that so that we have one video that goes out per day, Monday through Friday for the entire month. There's a whole process where, my videographer will then upload them. My video editor, who's in a whole nother country, will edit them. My assistant will pull them down, put them on the Asana board, make sure that the descriptions are together. Like there's a whole factory process that happens. And so in part, there's a bit of software and tools and just general processes and structure that makes that happen. But there's also people, there's also team. And so that reminds me of that video that I mentioned earlier around the myth versus the reality of having 100K months. This is why I talked about in that video that you don't keep all the money that you make, right? You might make 100K in a month. For me, I like to keep, or we know we're doing good if we're hitting 60 to 70% margins. In part of the reason for that is because you will have a higher level of support that's essentially helping you make those sales and produce that type of revenue. And so you want a tight back-end system and a tight back-end team that's gonna help you make those sales even if you're not showing up online. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is where you are at in your business, then that lets me know that maybe you've been showing up online for a consistent amount of time. You've been building your brand. Maybe you have a coaching business and you've been building clients, but you're really ready to get to that next level. You want to get to that next step. Maybe you're hitting 5 figures a month, 10K, 20K a month, and you're like, oh, I really would love to get to 50 or even 100K. What are these backend systems? How do I build a team? All of these things. If you're kind of more experienced and you're ready to get to that next level, then I would love to work with you one-on-one. Actually have some one-on-one programs that we don't advertise a whole lot, but I do have a few spots available for serious entrepreneurs who are really serious about growing their business to the next level. And so if that's something that is of interest to you, you can click the link below in order to book a call with my enrollment team. We'll let you know about the variety of coaching opportunities that we have available where I can work with you personally to help you scale your business. And if it makes sense for you, we'll let you know. And if it doesn't make sense for you, we'll let you know as well, because we never want to offer something to somebody that ultimately, is not going to be helpful for them and that we can't help. So we're very honest about that. But if that's of interest to you, you owe it to yourself to at least see if that's something that you want to sign up for. So you can click the link below in order to book a call now. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you can't wait for my next video, make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show, on both iTunes and Spotify. And if you can't wait for my next podcast, make sure that you are also following me on Instagram. It's CourtneyLSanders on Instagram. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.